Prior to the New Year's Eve release of Stranger Things series finale, the internet was pretty unanimous. Stranger Things turned sour. Sure, the final season might satisfy those with low standards and are just around for the action, but for the rest of those who are still looking for an inkling of what the Netflix show resembled in seasons 1 and 2, it was never going to fully pass the series finale inspection. The culprit could lie in Stranger Things' descent from a dark, small-town, almost Twin Peaks-esque sci-fi into a family-friendly superhero extravaganza, with the exception of the numerous goddamn expletives and gory violence. Or it could be the Duffer Brothers' sensitivity to showing and not telling the story. Or it could be the watering down of the show's most complex characters when the show has run out of things to do with them. But does that mean the series finale is bad? It's definitely not the worst conclusion that's released in recent years, but it's definitely not the best either.
Stranger Things ends with a mixed bag finale.
Hitting somewhere in the middle of the worst and the best shouldn't be enough for the show that defined the streaming era of television. It's like if Eleven just gave Vecna a warning in their final battle because she ran out of her battery. There's no big swing or final blow. The big moments that do happen are either variations of predictable outcomes or uncharacteristic to the show's core vibe. Season 5, Episode 8, The Right Side Up, is split into two parts, the final act against Vecna and an epilogue set 18 months after the fact. The former feels so akin to the Netflix action film formula that it's painful to watch. Though divided by many different perspectives and storylines, a good crux of it takes place in the other world known as the Abyss. Without getting into spoilers, it's there that the show begins to unravel into Final Fantasy territory for a big video game boss fight. There's absolutely nothing wrong or uncool about Final Fantasy, but compared to how the show started out at its peak, it's certainly not Stranger Things' forte. Couple that with annoying quips in serious situations and carved out time to give a monologue or clever line before striking an enemy, the last chance to save the world is something pulled straight out of a B-movie third act. In the midst of that is a complaint that fans have had for a long time, the lack of meaningful deaths. The series finale isn't absent of deaths, but the confirmed ones that take place are faint and unmoving. Old habits certainly die hard on Stranger Things. The fate of one main character is left unknown, a choice that isn't half bad. Leaving some things unproven is a bold move, and Stranger Things executes this with grand emotion and smart articulation. However, it does feel like a cop-out to avoid killing off the main characters definitively.
Stranger Things epilogue saves the conclusion. The epilogue is the best part of the episode, albeit a bit lengthy. Jumping between every character's story to catch up with them, the epilogue takes its sweet time analyzing the nitty-gritty of the characters' futures. However, this is where the show feels like it's truly gone back to its roots, and not just because of its small-town location and nostalgic trips. These characters are bonded for life, and the sentimental moments between them don't fail to remember that. Yes, the dialogue and music choices can be cheesy from time to time, but the show gets a pass on account of this being the last goodbye. It's mostly a very satisfying ending, one that passes the baton to a younger generation. To top it off, it centers Mike Wheeler as the rightful protagonist. He doesn't have powers or abilities. He's just a boy who led his friend group through the greatest adventure of their life and fell in love with a special girl. He's the type of hero that anyone can be.
Stranger Things leaves behind a complicated legacy.
But there were massive problems with other characters. For one, there's the tragic case of Joyce Byers being sidelined in her own series. Back when Stranger Things was first announced, it was only known by the public as the Winona Ryder sci-fi show. She was the face of the series. She was the audience's window into this madness. But no joke, she hardly says a word for the first half hour of the episode. She easily slips into the background, almost making people forget she existed. Joyce gets an incredibly applaud-worthy moment against Vecna that avenges her son and the serene life she lost before Will's disappearance. But it's daunting just how much she lost relevance in her own show. This arises out of the fact that new characters receive substantial attention in Season 5, keeping established characters from Season 1 as NPCs, who basically speak on command.
Everything about the series finale is all very complicated, because the ending is satisfying, but the journey there was lukewarm. So many plot holes went unanswered, and a lot of revelations regarding Henry Creel's background rely heavily on Stranger Things: The First Shadow, which the majority of the audience probably haven't seen. The grand-scale visual effects for the Other Worlds fight sequence also leaves something to be desired. When the characters enter that world through the gooey red gate, it immediately begins to feel like Stranger Things the video game. The worst part about Stranger Things' conclusion is that it's not sad or disappointing. The show disappeared for such long periods of time that it's hard to care about it anymore. Stranger Things existed, and now it doesn't. But in that last fleeting moment, Stranger Things remembers what made it once special. It's a bittersweet memory, one that is nice to have like an old friend, but not pleasant enough to dig up again. Stranger Things is available to stream on Netflix.